Hey cruisers, I'm Sherry with CruiseTipsTV.com. Are you super afraid of going on a cruise because you think you might get motion sick? The good news is most people don't suffer from motion sickness on a cruise, but it does happen sometimes. So we want to talk about 5 ways that you can prevent motion sickness on a cruise. Now, if you are one of those people who tends to get sick on land, whether you're driving, you're flying, or in a train, if you normally get motion sickness, you're probably a little bit more prone to it. So listen up and maybe apply a number of these techniques if you're going to be going on a cruise. Tip number 1 is to book your stateroom or your cruise cabin, whatever you want to call it, lower and towards the center of the ship. If you've done any research on this topic, you have heard this tip because it is a good one. What happens is that when you are on the front or the back of the ship, you are going to feel more movement, more motion. In the front of the ship, you might feel a little bit more slamming of the waves. On the back, you might feel a little bit more rattling. Of course, sometimes you feel nothing. These ships are so stable these days, but if you encounter high seas or a ship that has not so great stabilizers, you might just feel it. But if you book a room that's on a lower deck and more towards the center of the ship, you're going to be a lot better off. And this is something that your travel agent can help you with. You can look at a deck plan to find out where those cabins are. It's really, really easy to do. Now, tip number 2 is to come prepared. Depending on your level of fear of motion sickness or actual experience with motion sickness, you might need different things. If you have experienced motion sickness before, we suggest you go to a doctor. Get a prescription medication for your motion sickness in advance. You'll see people wearing little patches behind their ears on cruises, and sometimes those are prescriptions. If you aren't so prone to motion sickness, but you just want to take a few extra precautions, you could buy an over-the-counter medication like Dramamine or Bonine. Some of them even come in non-drowsy formulas. They're really, really easy to find. If you get onto the ship and you find, ooh, I completely forgot my motion sick meds and I'm feeling a little woozy, you can always head to the medical center and they should be able to dispense them there for you as well. Sometimes they'll even do that for you at no charge. Our number 3 tip is one of my favorites, and I actually packed these little puppies in my pocket because this is my secret weapon. These are called CBands, and you can get these for under $10 on Amazon. We're going to link to them in the description of the video. Let me tell you a little bit about how these work. CBands are actually acupressure wristbands, and they work by putting pressure on acupressure point 6, which stimulates a little nerve down in your wrist. So what you need to do is make sure that you place the plastic stud exactly on that point, which is between the 2 wrist tendons. So what you want to do is place 3 fingers from the crease of your wrist. After you put them on, make sure that you press on the stud just a little bit for a couple of minutes to get that effect going, and make sure that you always wear both wristbands. You need to wear them both, and you should probably start wearing them on the first day of your cruise. Just put them on. They're not exactly the best fashion accessory, I acknowledge that, but they're worth it. I've been wearing them on this cruise and they've been helping me out with a little bit of that feeling of wooziness. Now, if you're prone to a little bit more serious motion sickness, there's something that you might want to invest in called the relief band. Now, relief band is a little bit more expensive, but it is worth it. And a lot of people swear by this as a non-medicinal way of getting some relief. Let me tell you a little bit about the relief band. It's an anti-nausea band that releases a specific pattern of pulses that stimulate the median nerve under the skin, also on your wrist. Now what that does is it normalizes the nerve messaging from the brain to the stomach, which kind of relieves those symptoms of nausea and vomiting without any side effects. In fact, women use this for morning sickness. It's even used for chemotherapy relief and things like that. Might be worth investing in, and of course we have a link for you down in the description of this video. Okay, are you ready for tip number 5? Tip number 5 is actually a really good one, you guys. This is one of my favorites, and that is that you can consider natural remedies. Cruise ship staff will tell you to try things like green apples, ginger tea, ginger chews. All of these things are things you can either pack with you or you can get on the ship. Green apples are usually pretty easy to find at the buffet during breakfast and lunch, and ginger chews can be purchased at natural food stores, grocery stores, and things like that. All right, so what do you think? Are these helpful tips? Might want to go on your next cruise with all of them, one of them, two of them. Talk to your doctor. Make sure that you make the decision that works for you. Now, if you tend to get a little bit of motion sickness, and you've been on a cruise before, we want to hear from you. Do you have any tips that I didn't mention today that work really well for you? What are your favorite motion sickness remedies? Let us know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, friends, and until next time, we'll see you on the high seas. Bye-bye.